Thank you. We'll now go to the second part of your complaint work, and with you again, Denise.
So just
do I have a? Yes. I'll move this with the slight amendment. Apologies, Independent Māori Statutory Board members. That was my oversight. But included now, and including a representative from the IMSB and C. I'll put that on the table to begin with. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Fletcher. Denise.
So there are a couple of handouts just being distributed now, and while they've been distributed, I'll just make a few points. So this is the first of two tranches of content for which we're seeking your approval for the draft plan for consultation. The second tranche will be brought to the 28th of November committee. The focus today is on approval for belonging and participation and for transport and access outcome areas. So the draft plan content, which is in your agenda, reflects feedback from the 31st of October workshop. It's not tracked, the changes aren't tracked in there, but you'll just have been handed a schedule of the changes which show you where your feedback and how it's been addressed, and the page number of your agenda where the change has been made. There is also another item which has been handed out to you for belonging and participation. That item addresses feedback which has come in since the agenda has closed, or that we've had time to consider since the agenda has closed. And in that item there are text in purple which shows the changes that we're proposing to make. So just to go over that again, in your main agenda item, that reflects the feedback from the Planning Committee workshop on the 31st of October, the changes that have been made and noted in the schedule of changes.
Okay, so let's just go there slowly. In the main agenda item, we've got two attachments, and then on the table, just placed on our tables right now, we've also got attachment B1, which is in portrait form, and then in landscape, we've got the belonging participation one. Well, they're both related.
Mr. Chairman, point of order. Can we have a recess to read this stuff?
I'm thinking of that actually, and good point. So, Denise, can you just take us through the material? So, yeah.
So,
remind us again. Can we go through A and B attachments as per the agenda, starting page 57?
Yeah. So on the so just leaving aside attachment A, which is around the building of the digital plan, attachment B has two parts to it. It's belonging and participation outcome and the transport and access outcome. On that agenda is included the feedback in response to the Planning Committee workshop on the 31st of October. You also have a table in front of you which shows how your feedback has been incorporated into the plan and what page number, that table, landscape table. So it highlights on the table where your feedback has changed. If I can provide an example, at the bottom of that schedule of changes, it refers to page 67, where we have added the words including events that are accessible and free. There was quite a lot of discussion at the last workshop on that, and staff were asked to go away and consider that and make an amendment. So if you see that on page 67, that change has been made. So those changes are all in there. The other document that you've got in front of you separately is the belonging and participation document, where we're proposing subsequent further changes based on further analysis of feedback that has come in the later stages. Those changes are highlighted in purple. So they are additional to the item, your agenda papers. So, for example, on the front page, we've added island to the last bullet point there, rural, island or urban location. On the second page, under Celebrate Auckland's Māori Identity, we've added another paragraph there and some additional words. And then throughout the outcome, there are some additional phrases and words in response to feedback that has come in or that we've analysed since the agenda has closed.
Okay. Thank you, Denise.
So I apologise that it requires moving between documents, but we just wanted to be able to present to you the very latest feedback and what our proposed response is to that.
Thank you. Okay, so just to be clear, so beginning page 60 in the agenda, other than the graphics, which we can maybe just exclude, they aren't on this sheet here. But basically this page that you've just distributed replaces pages 60 onwards, which is attachment B.
Replaces pages 60 to 72.
Okay, and the only change is that the graphics that were in the original in the agenda are not on here.
And the changes are in purple.
And the changes are in purple.
Purple
So
text.
just to, members, just have you not read material twice, the B is replaced by B1, just tabled. And then the feedback on that same subject is in the landscape A4. Okay, Councillor Casey makes a good point. There's quite a lot that's just been tabled here. We are due for a break at 11:30. What I will do right now is take initial questions, and then we will have a 10-minute break at around about 11:30 as we normally do, and it'll give the opportunity for refreshments and a quick read. Okay, so I'll take question first from Councillor Deputy Mayor Cashmore.
I'm good.
You're good?
Yep.
Councillor Casey.
Yeah, I was very clear that one of the lengthy debates we had at the workshop was a change to direction 2 to include the words reduce harm. And I'm very clear about that debate. I'm very clear about the support for around the table. What I see you've done to it is include a few words for further down in the blurb. So strategic 2 is as it came to us.
It's very good.
And I don't want to go over all the arguments for having those words in strategic direction 2, but absolutely critical. One of the things we do as a council is advocate to reduce harm, no matter who's doing it.
Exactly.
Okay, if we go to page direction 2,
It's in direction 2.
we have a paragraph says, second paragraph, Councillor.
No, I know what it is.
It
I'm
says,
looking at
in
direction
promoting
2.
well-being and reducing harm.
Looking at the blue, not the,
Look at the purple.
blue.
I'm looking at that.
Okay, I'll leave it with the staff actually. Denise, can you take us to how you've addressed that? Is it addressed under direction 2 with the brackets and changes there?
And through the chair, we have addressed it through the second paragraph under direction 2, where we've talked about promoting wellbeing and reducing
I
harm.
know, Denise, I'm asking you.
Wait on, no,
sorry,
Councillor Casey,
I
you
got
can't
that.
interrupt the staff. Sorry,
It's about
no,
the
you can't
strategic
interrupt the
direction
staff.
itself. We came to an
Please,
agreement at the
Councillor
workshop.
Casey, please respect the staff.
But I
and
got
give,
that. I know where the words are. I know what the words are. I don't need
did
it
that
repeated
before.
to me.
Please let the staff
Clarify.
finish.
She's finished.
So we have included it not in the direction. We have
Correct.
included it in the content, in the body of the text, and we've also included examples of harm and what we're trying to seek reduction of. We didn't take away an agreement to change the wording of the direction, but rather to include the concept.
That's the problem with not having any notations of what went on at a workshop in terms of why I was congratulating you. Is it was very obvious who said what and what you did with it. You know, I can't see that. I can see it here that you've changed the words, but my understanding and my argument and my understanding of the support was it's actually a direction. It's that important. So you've decided otherwise, and I'm thinking, well, it's up for debate again then. That's just one.
So look,
that's
I'll
only
come in
one
there.
thing I've looked
Members,
at.
I did hear that at the meeting, and there was, I think there was general agreement to refer to that and include it, and in my view it has been included. It's just not in the place that Councillor Casey would like it. Councillor Casey would like it in the headline. Well, I, in my view, as I said at the workshop, I felt it was reflected in that language, health and well-being. Now, we could describe a lot of things in there, and we'll have a very long heading. And I think for brevity's sake, but without avoiding the need to address it, it is referred to. And I think the staff have had to grapple with how to write it, reflect it, and then there's now dispute as to where it is. I'm comfortable as to where it is, but I'm going to leave it in the hands of others. So the staff have gone away, and this is how they've reflected it. Councillor Cashmore again, did you?
Well, I'll just reflect on your words. When you look at the two directions, direction 1, foster an Auckland where everyone belongs, direction 2, improve health and wellbeing for all Aucklanders by reducing disparities and opportunities. They're both at the same level. And I think that's quite important that we have consistency in the approach. Councillor Fletcher.
No, mine were comments and they can wait till after the adjournment.
Kathy.
Member Tohanere.
Kia ora, Mr. Chair. Jacques, I think I remember, I'm not sure, I'm getting on a bit, that I raised the issue, the focus area 1.4, about the treaty. I just can't for the life of me find any reference to the discussion that we had, whether it was a discussion or whether it was me just rambling, in any of the new notes. And I would have thought that instead of hiding it away somewhere, it would be front and centre. So if you can help me, that'd be great. If you can't, well, too bad.
It definitely will not be hidden away. It's probably more highlighted than ever, but I'll ask the staff to respond on that. We did address that in the workshop, but Jacques, can you just outline again the prominence that we are giving the Treaty of Waitangi this time?
It's not often that my memory would be better than yours, but this time I do actually remember. What you asked was there was a focus area in belonging and participation in the original text quite a bit earlier on around the treaty, and you asked why has that gone, because it has gone from that. What I explained was that when we put the original framework together, remember there wasn't actually a separate outcome around Māori identity and well-being, and so that was the way back in developing the plan that we captured that aspect of things. In the process, we then developed a outcome that was specifically around Māori well-being and identity. And so when we drafted the text about around the focus area, around the treaty and belonging and participation, it didn't say anything. We couldn't say anything that wasn't already said, either in the Māori identity and well-being outcome that deals with that as well, or in the front end of the plan that has a particular section specifically on the treaty. So it's dealt with there as well. So it really was just a duplication. We couldn't actually, so what do we say in this that isn't said already? And so on that basis, there being a dedicated section on the treaty in the front end of the plan, and there also being an outcome now around Māori identity and well-being, on that basis we took that out.
Member Hanare, have you, I know you're probably, like all of us, just catching up on the reading here. In this second page, you've seen that at the top there as well. And just, I want to check with you, are you of the opinion it needs to go further than that?
There's not a lot of context around it. It's just a bit of a nicey statement. I'll come back to you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Cooper.
Just in terms of the directions, I do understand what Councillor Casey's getting at, but when I look at all the titles, they're all actually positive. They're what we're trying to build up, not what we're trying to stop. So we could say, we've got, for example, the well-being. You could be saying, stop everybody being sick, or make sure people aren't unhealthy. But I think the actual trend and essence of it is about positive, and then underneath we outline what we need to do, the things we do need to either stop or increase. So for me, I think it just, if we put a negative in there, we're kind of changing all the titles then would have to kind of be changed, because I think we need some coherence in the understanding of the directions, that everything is heading in the same direction. That's just my comment because you did ask.
Yep, I did. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Philippina.
Thank you, Chair. And I just wanted to sort of, also along the lines that not only yourself in regards to the comments, but also Councillor Cooper, but I actually agree with Councillor Casey in regards to reduce harm, because at that particular workshop, Chair, I thought there was agreement around the table, and I just thought that adding and reduce harm, and I don't personally see it as a negative, but it is a statement, and I think it's a very clear statement around what we want to achieve with the direction. So I think we also mentioned at that particular workshop, Chair, that, you know, it was going to be up to the committee, and you're right, it is up to the committee, but I can't see, and excuse the pun, but I can't see any harm in putting and reduce harm. I really can't, even though it's going to be emphasised in the lower part of the direction. But I would be suggesting, Chair, that and reduce harm be included in the direction too. How that process happens, I don't know.
Okay, I'm going to test. How about we test the meeting?
Yeah, is that okay,
to speak
Chair?
again before you test the meeting.
And
Okay.
before you test the meeting, because I would have said a heck of a lot more at the workshop in regards to that. But you know, that's how we looked at that particular workshop. So thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Member Namani.
I just want to continue on in this treaty discussion. So,
Questions?
you made a reference to a dedicated section in the Auckland plan that relates to the treaty. What is that dedicated section? Is it the context?
Yeah, it's part of the front end of the plan that sets the... So it does a number of things. Say, for example, it sets a context of Auckland in New Zealand's economy. It's got a section on that. And then it's got a section on the treaty, what the treaty is, how it impacts on Auckland, what it means for Auckland, how it plays out.
So it's a narrative, it's not going to be measurable.
It's a narrative, yes.
So it's not going to be measurable, that's the key issue. That I have in terms of where the dedicated section is. The next statement was that the treaty is contained in the kind of Māori identity section. How will that accommodate the other aspects of the treaty that are all about it being bicultural? So it's not just about Māori. It's about the community, both Pākehā Māori and all communities that choose to come to Tāmaki. How's that going to be accounted for within the Māori identity component? Because I would have thought it would naturally more fit where it was, which was as a focus area in the belonging and participation component.
Member Namani, I think that is probably, if you look at the purple wording that's been added, which
I've
came...
seen it. Is that measurable?
No, that may not be
So that's my issue,
Okay,
Mr. Chair.
I hear that point.
So if the issue is around measures,
It is.
then that's a slightly separate discussion because we haven't done the measures yet.
Well, no, excuse me, but it is because it used to be a focus area within belonging and participation that then provides the policy framework for the measures. So I'm not talking about the detail of the measures, I'm talking about where is the policy framework that will enable the measures to flow. There is none at this point in time. And that's our very serious concern.
Okay,
the
just
current
for
draft.
clarification, was that
That's the comment.
outlined in the IMSB?
Yes, it was also raised by Toe at the last workshop,
The workshop.
and that's why he highlighted it wasn't noted in the notes.
Okay. Okay, can we I was going to say park, but we won't just park, we will poll. Pause, thank you.
For a wellness break.
Councillor Casey.
Another comment just on that strategic direction. When you read the words now on below the strategic direction, it's just basically a description. It says a wide range of agencies are working to reduce harm. The issue that we had at the workshop was that one of our jobs as a council is to monitor harm and where possible make reparation to reduce it. That's what we're meant to be about. Reduce harm from alcohol, gambling, smoking, fast food, sugar. It doesn't all have to be listed, but that is part of our remit. We advocate for our people. So I'll leave it at that. But I do want to see those words in the strategic direction and not in a description of what other people do. It's what we do and what we think is important. Before I move on, I've just looked back to my notes of that workshop. And you can tell me what you did with it. But I definitely remember seeing and getting support for the issue of homelessness as being one of the main issues facing Auckland. And I thought we had agreement that that issue would be raised in here, and also that the case study, which is currently a Greytown, Grey Lynn bike track, might be the wonderful work Auckland Libraries is doing in welcoming homeless through their doors through all manner of means. And I thought that, and I remember saying if that happened, I'd be really happy. None of it's happened. Like, where does it go? And you know, it wasn't just that workshop. It's been every single workshop. I've never seen the changes asked for, even though I've gone away thinking that was a good workshop, good issues raised.
Jack.
They just go into a void.
It's not true. Black hole.
No, that is not fair, Councillor.
Yeah.
Not at all.
No, it's not in there.
I'm
This
asking
is
where
the
it
governance
goes.
table of
Where
Auckland Council,
where
and
does
it's
it go?
not deserving of that
I
comment.
want my loop closed.
Council-
That's what I know.
Jacques,
I know what the
please.
panels feel like.
Thank you,
I want my
Councillor
loop
Casey.
closed.
Got it.
It's just waiting to Jacques dance.
So homelessness is addressed in homes and places.
Yes.
Additional text has been added. The case study that Councillor Casey is referring to is being developed.
That's why we should.
You are not seeing
The whole picture.
everything.
Yeah.
What we're asking today are the bits that we're putting in front of you. There are aspects of transport and access, case studies about rail to Waikato and further out. That is not in that stuff is still being developed. So we took on board the case study. We are developing that very case study that you're talking about, Councillor Casey.
And it will come on the 28th.
It's not ready yet.
With respect, Mr. Chairman, after 3 workshops, or no, I think it's actually about 5 workshops, wouldn't it be good just to have that in this document here that says it's been raised and where it's going, so that I don't have to go and have a rave?
Okay, what you did raise it, and the answer when we were dealing with access and connectivity and this section, belonging and participation, and the staff responded at the workshop that would be addressed in homes and places. Because we're not considering homes and places today, and we will be, Jack, on the 28th, we aren't considering that today. And so it's about the belonging and participation section. Are you suggesting homelessness should be in that section?
Should be homeless. The homeless community in Auckland is one of the most vulnerable communities we have. And yes, I do want them to feel they belong, and no, it shouldn't just be in homes and places. It has to be referred to here.
Okay,
If we are truly an inclusive city, we want to include our homeless population.
Councillor
I've done it.
Casey,
I keep doing this.
I recall the workshop, and I recall the staff saying that would be reflected in the homes and places section, and that is my memory of the workshop, and it will be. We are hearing it will be.
But my recollection of the workshop.
I can just add to that. Because of the digital plan, it is no problem whatsoever to link to the case study on homelessness that the library is doing from here as well. So we can make a place for it here and link it from here as well.
I think what I said, Jacques, at the workshop was I'd like to see the word homeless in a sentence in this section. I think I said that at the workshop too. I don't care what the words are. It's acknowledgement and visibility of that vulnerable group in our Auckland plan. It was in the old Auckland plan. It's been released from this Auckland plan. In this section, this is the important section where it belongs.
Well, I would very much hope it belongs in homes and places as well.
Absolutely it does.
So look, I need to have the staff consider that. We're going to take a break shortly, but before we do so, I want to go back to the issues raised by Member Namani.
Where's my look close?
Jacques, is that something that we can just consider in the break, actually? The issues raised by Member Namani on behalf of the IMSB and the measurability. The key point put is around the measurability of the treaty.
Yes, it was it was a focus area. It now isn't.
Can we just have a discussion in the break? We'll take a break now for, say, 10 minutes, members. We'll come back. What's the time?
2:45.
We'll come back at 11:45.